Welcome to the Voice for Dads podcast.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to this week's episode of Voice for Dads. I'm joined here today by a living legend amongst men. And I can say that because what I do know of this man, he is something very special. So I'm joined in the studio today by Kev Brown.
How you doing?
Hi Kev, you well?
Hell of an introduction.
Well, you are, to be fair. I've followed you since 2018 when you started Ayrshire Dads. And I've followed the page since then. I was quite open when I reached out to you that I've never participated in running yet, but I've followed from afar, and I think what I've watched you do when it comes to Ayrshire Dads and then some has just been incredible. So I cannot thank you enough for being on here.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's funny, even just as you mentioned 2018, that it's been 6 years of, since the Ayrshire Dads community was formed, boomed, has helped and saved many men's lives, and what that's allowed me the platform to then get and evolve into in terms of what I want to do with men, dads, and here in Scotland basically. So I'm equally grateful to be able to come on here and knowing what you're doing and to continue to sort of help influence, shape, help men in general. So It's good.
Absolutely. Well, I'll just say this. We also know this, but I'll say for the viewers, I reached out to you after starting this podcast, and the fact that you agreed to come on, I was just over the moon because I'm aware of the work that you've done, are doing, and are going to continue to do, and the impact it has on so many men, boys, men, dads, uncles, granddads, everyone is affected in some way, and you are you're helping so many people in what you do. So we spoke before we went on air, and I said that I'm quite happy to bring you on and for you to tell us about Fads, Ayrshire Dads, and how it started, what made you start it, and how it's progressed to what it is now, where there's thousands of men that follow it, are involved. There's multiple events, it seems, throughout the year. The amount of money that gets raised by charity through that, and the amount of money you raise yourself for charity. I don't have a figure, I'm sure you don't either, but I know it's tens of thousands of pounds that you've raised for charity, for all different charities as well. So if you want, just tell us what made you start Ayrshire Dads to start with, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a good a place as any to start. It takes us back to so I was 39. I was, kind of aware I'd been through a lot of health issues in terms of physical health. I was as heavy as I'd been. I was psychologically not in a good place. I was making a lot of mistakes. I was letting a lot of people down. I was on the surface living a sort of bit of a double life. I was fully functioning in a high-profile career. I was with my wife, and really behind the scenes, I was drinking, taking drugs, making bad calls, trying to survive, trying to get through. At the same time, I was having chronic back troubles. I was, real bad place. I was close to surgery and stuff like that. So what had happened was it got to January 2nd, we had a New Year party, classic New Year party, went for it big time, woke up,
Was this 2018, sorry?
This would be, I'm imagining this will be 2017, I'm going to say. I'm trying to remember this, my granddad mind is no what it used to be, so I'm going to get a little bit mixed up, but I'll join the dots.
Yeah.
So January 2nd, Fads hasn't formed at this point. This is me now going to obviously look at what do I need to do to get my life together. So really chronically scunnered in myself and where I'm heading. I'm in a bit of a midlife crisis. My next birthday will be my 40th. And the story that I tell, I didn't have enough money to buy a sports car, so I needed to get a grip. and get a grip I started to do. I was, I went, right, I'm going to try and get fit. I'm going to try and get a grip on my mental health. What can I do? So fitness was the natural go-to. So fast forward the tape a little bit. I'm running around Park Run in Eglinton Park, projectile vomiting, saying, why the hell do people run? Which is interesting because where I end up.
That's what I say.
So I'm projectile vomiting, hate running, but hate my life more. And as the saying goes, you need to fear staying where you are more than the fear of change. And I had enough. So embraced in that journey, started heading down that road, starting to make changes, starting to feel that wow, this fitness thing actually makes me feel pretty good. Not at the time, but after the aftermath. So really starts to take that tape forward. Then is where fads comes, because we go down that road. I'm embraced on a little personal thing called Fuck 40. A little hashtag Fuck 40.
Fuck 40. Nice.
Apologise to anybody that's not comfortable with swearing. I will swear. So I then decide, well, if I'm able to realise what fitness can do for me, who else might not have the resolve that I have? Because I'm a pretty stubborn, determined dude. When I start something, my wife has got a really good insight. When I say I'm going to do something, there's a tsunami will not stop me.
Love that.
I will break down walls.
Yep.
So I was determined I was going to turn my life around a bit as best as I possibly could, because my family depended on that happening. Because the chronic back trouble and stuff, I couldn't pick up my daughter. I was in a really bad place physically, and it was breaking my heart. So I was like, I'm going to do something. So what I realised was the average Joe next to me, to the left and right, might not have that same mindset. And if they don't have that same mindset, then where do they turn? And at the same time, I was approached by a friend who shared with me a story, because they knew what I was doing, my journey. They says, Kevin, I'm struggling. I'm really sort of don't know how to look at my son. My son's looking at me as a role model, and I don't know what kind of role model I am. And I'm really, really, really low about this. That was when I talk about then I became so I was like, I'm making something. I don't know what this looks like. So bear in mind, back in 2018, men aren't speaking up. They aren't speaking out.
Yep.
It's, you don't fucking talk about your feelings. You keep them to yourself. You take drink, you take drugs, you gamble, you watch porn, whatever it is you need to do, but you do not openly speak. And this is before all the sort of things that are going about just now. And I went, right, I'm going to try and use this toxic thing called social media. I'm going to try and use it for something positive. I'm going to make this private group where I can invite a few people in. We can, men like me, it probably won't come to much, is what I thought.
Yep.
Like, I heard the expression at the time, it'll be a flash in the pan. And I went, you might be right. Let's see.
Yep.
So starts a group. I knew a boy gave me a bit of branding, a little bit of a help, just made up a little logo, that kind of thing, and started inviting a few boys in. I thought, I'll get somebody in that can give us some nutrition advice. I can get somebody in that maybe a PT, something like that. Obviously, my brother's particularly skilled in that area.
Right.
Even he wasn't too excited about it at the time, because he's probably, at that point, he's asked to do loads of shit. And he's like, I know another one.
Yeah.
But
So was this a group in a place, like a physical group, or are you talking about Facebook?
it was solely on Facebook.
Right.
And we, as soon as I started it, I started doing little videos around mental health, and we started doing little things like walking talks, physical meetups for run, go to the gym together. So to give you, to fast forward the tape a little bit, it's safe to say that fads blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was actually talking about this on Sunday with a couple of the guys, the founding members that were in fads. We actually did a podcast to share our stories and stuff about it. And the only thing that I can tell you, because everyone says, why did it blow up? And the most clarity I have on that answer is, men were desperate for it. They were desperate for it. We had men from all different backgrounds, all different stories like yourself, and so much more, that had nothing. They couldn't talk to their friends, they couldn't talk to their families, they couldn't talk to their partners, you name it. And when we introduced it, it was almost like, thank you. You've given us something that is ours. And, I've evolved a lot and I've learned a lot about the power of community, connection, and the pitfalls of isolation. And it was unbelievable. The numbers swelled, and we quite quickly realised, I quite quickly realised I needed an admin team. So I'm big on teams. I've a lot of experience in terms of leading teams and things like that, leadership. I knew that for this to be effective, we needed men in different roles, playing on their different strengths, to hold this community and be able to lift it up. And it was unbelievable. It just, I can still look back and go, holy shit, we were hit 1,000 really, really quickly. I mean, 1,000 men quickly is an unbelievable thing to really grasp in the social media at that point. This is back in 2018, when it wasn't a done thing for a guy to be a part of a group where you've got the main man is on talking about mental health and suicide, and I am tackling issues that no one's doing at that point. No one. I knew it was groundbreaking. And I remember having a moment of self-doubt at that point, and I was like, I don't know if what I'm doing is right. Yeah, the guys are coming, but am I in uncharted lands where I need to get the fuck out of it? And my friend Stephen Gilmer, who was one of the original Fads, he's no longer with us. I reached out to him, and I says, I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I don't know where I'm going with this. And he went, keep going. He says, Kevin, I can't tell you the difference these videos are making to me, and I know the difference they're making to other guys. We've got guys in this group right now watching these videos and having the opportunity to come along to these meetups and stuff, that they are on the brink. They are one step away. And if we stop now, we will never know how close we came. Because at that time, we were losing a lot, guys. So something, as we'll talk through, I'm an emotional guy, so I might go there several times because we've lost a lot of guys during the journey of Fads. I've been on three manhunts in Ayrshire for men that have got themselves into situations in their personal lives, and they've had no way out. We've not been able to get to them. I've been first on the scene for a guy who contacted me in the morning, went off a bridge. There's lots of things have happened that tells me that fads, although engagement, there's a lot less guys engaging. We had a really powerful time through COVID and stuff like that, where we were reaching hundreds a day. It was powerful, it was energetic and stuff. Yep. Although engagement has dropped a little bit, because like any new silver sweetie, it loses a bit of momentum. But what I'm reminded still is that Fads is an incredible group, it's still doing incredible things. And although I deliberately stepped down as an admin, because I realised the group was becoming a little bit more about me, and that was not what it was intended. And I wanted the group to have its own strong identity. And the group still now is doing incredible things. Here we are. I believe the group still has 3,200 men or something like that in it. And still I see beautiful things happening. Men joining for all sorts of reasons, all sorts of different challenges that they're facing. But that was like a whistle top kind of stop tour of the journey of Fads and why it was formed.
I'm curious to know what point that was when you thought, should I carry on? How long had it been going?
Very early, because you know yourself, you're doing social media things yourself at the moment, you're putting yourself out there. The gremlin in your mind makes you question if what do people think of me? I know an awful lot more. I've been on my own self-development journey, and I've done an awful lot more growth and courses and all that good stuff. So now I don't really give a shit what anyone thinks. But back then, I wasn't really sure, because I had come out a bit of a period where I was fucking double life in it and stuff. I had a lot of my own baggage and own stuff. So I'm like, guys are coming up to me in the street going, like, I'm watching you in my house. My wife's going, what's this? And this is helping me massively. I'm talking to my kids better. And I'm going, oh man, the imposter syndrome at that point. I'm going to get found the fuck out here. You know,
yep.
I don't know what I thought I was worried about, because everything was on a table. I was starting to really say that. I've felt suicidal. I've not been sure of my direction. But I was like, is this really helping, or are people just going, who does he think he is? And then it was that advice from my late friend Stephen that just went, no, keep going.
Yep.
And thank God we did.
Yeah.
Because I was the driver at that point. It was the energy that I was bringing to things, and that determination thing that I was just like, boom, let's break through. And what you said at the introduction, the power of the group has done unbelievable things. We've been a huge motivator for change for other groups to be formed up and down the country. People using the FADS model, which I'm immensely proud of.
You're on one right now. Yeah, you're literally on one right now.
I mean, that
because of FADS, I would say this is why we're sitting here just now as well.
And that blows my mind. You know,
yep.
We've raised tens. We were talking about this on Sunday. I think we've raised in excess of £20,000. We've raised hundreds of tons of food items and toiletries every Christmas for community food banks, which again, not a lot of people know. That's FADS. We've done community garden projects. We've visited nursing homes dressed as Santa and magicians, elderly people who are at the end of life. We've the boys, not me, the boys, but I hope I've inspired them slightly to be leaders like this. They have just introduced a talking bench in Eglinton Park, which you probably saw. We're intending of having talking benches in all the major parts in Ayrshire, Roselle, Dean Park, and then probably
great idea.
And these benches have got a QR code on the bridge. So if you rock up at this talking bench and you're on the brink, you know, like, again, tell you about, I'll get emotional, because Eglinton Park is my park. I've searched for men in that park, and we didn't get to them in time. And I wish we did. But the talking bench is another method. If a guy shows up, a guy like that's gone through what you've been going through, if he's aware that there's a talking bench there, and he goes there, and even if no one shows up to talk with, that QR code might just be the reason that he's still here tomorrow. He might scan it. It might bring up the agencies that Fit Ayrshire Dads, this little Facebook group, have managed to put together this list, and he might just stay. And in essence, that's what we're talking about here with FADS. It's getting men to stay a little bit longer. I'm proof of that. I'm, away from all the things that I'm involved in now, I was a guy who wasn't sure. I've only openly shared probably in the last year. Many years ago, as a young guy, I was one phone call away to my mum. I was down in Blackpool, and I was looking to sign off. And there's loads of guys right now, somewhere, never mind in Ayrshire, but all over the world, thinking about signing off. And what FADS tries to make a little indent, as well as all the other groups and the organisations, because there's lots now. I'm blessed that we were a little bit trailblazers. We were the disruptive child. I feel like, we were shaking up the room, and we've shook up the room, and the landscape's changing, but men are still isolated, and platforms like this and fads and so many other things that we know of at the moment are changing that piece by piece. So much more work to be done, but I feel confident that we're in a better place.
Absolutely. I agree 100% with everything that you've just said. And what I can tell you is that Voice for Dads was only started by me, I think, because of Fads. Because I've watched it since it started. I've watched all your videos as well. And I wasn't in the place back then that I ended up in the last year. But I was inspired by it, 100%. You know, I followed it actively, and it is a fantastic group. So it is, but there's no doubt that has then led to me being in the situation that I've been in, that's then led to Voice for Dads. And just when you mention on, you know, as it grows and stuff and you don't know where to go, I can relate to all that, because we're only, like, this is our third episode, this episode, and we're already over 1,000 followers on Facebook. We've got tens of thousands of views across all the platforms. Our website's up and running. I can relate to the kind of feeling that you must have had back then, going, whoa, this is a kind of tsunami, and you're like, what do I do here? Am I doing the right thing? There's all these questions that you have to ask yourself. And I've been doing the same, but all I've had is probably similar to what you had in terms of, you're doing the right thing. Keep going, you know, and as much as Fads and Ayrshire Dads is fantastic at what it does and everything it stands for, when we are a Voice for Dads, you know, it's all about children and dads specifically, so it's more of a niche, you know. But it's been overwhelming, so it has for me. The stories, the contacts, the messages of men that are struggling, I then see this and just think there's something out there, something out there to listen to in my phone, to listen to in the train, when I'm at work, when I'm driving, and it just helps them. You know, it gives them that peace of mind knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, because I'm proof of that. Although I'm not at the end of the tunnel yet, I can say there is. You know, I know there is. So yeah, and touching on the men that aren't here anymore, I don't think you would ever be able to work out how many men are still here, but I guarantee it'll be a higher number than you think that are still here because of Fads. I would really think that's the case.
I appreciate that.
Because there's a lot of men that just can't talk. They might have lots of friends, might have lots of family, but they still feel they can't talk. And knowing that there's groups like Fads out there, there's other people to talk to, then it's what's needed. As we said before we started, you know, this is needed. And your caveman analogy was good. What was it you said? I really liked that. You said about tribes and men have sat.
But how? Yeah, I think we were talking about that before we come on. Actually,
yeah.
No, I think it's something that I've learned a lot about in the last couple of years, which leads on to what I'm obviously now doing, which we can get to later. But why I'm specifically now working with men. There's an awful lot of things out there for men and women, and women on their own. And then I'm looking at men, and I'm looking at the difficulties that you just touched on about why men struggle to open up. And I'm always a believer in, we'll hold a mirror up, so look at yourself. I recall many times struggling with stuff and not opening up to my friends. Now, it's easy to hang that on your friends. It's easy to, that's the way out. But the reality is, you've got to hang that on yourself. You've got to look at, what is it about my ego and my, you know, inner child and the shame and the guilt and all that kind of thing that I can't open up. And then you've got the societal thing, as you say, the societal norm that men don't talk about their problems, which is absolute bullshit. And one of the things is I started to go through a bit of an evolution, and naturally my friends and I have sort of partied, and you make new connections as you grow. For all the well-known sort of things, change isn't easy for everyone, and it can be really difficult for the people round about you. And that's sort of what happened with me. I looked at the times where my closest friends and I were together, and I reflected on that, you know, for watching football together, or we're drinking together, whatever it is, we were only talking about how we were feeling, and all of us were feeling something. So all of us
just all bottling up and no saying anything to each other.
It's this melting pot. It's sort of a simmering pot with a lid that's popping away. It's ready to go off, and that's going to articulate itself in different ways. And I know you've got a lot of men listening to this, and I really, really hope that they hear this. That simmering pot's going to manifest somehow. It's going to come over the edges. It's going to come over the edges in different ways. It's going to come over the edges maybe in how you speak to your partner. It's maybe going to come over the edge and you start drinking more. You know, we've talked about this. You start sleeping in. You start falling out with people. You start losing interest in things. Motivation drops. You maybe start, you're messing things up at work. Loads of different things, and at the core of that is not talking, and it's not talking to like-minded men. And one of the biggest things that Fads has done, and what I'm now doing more specifically, is looking at ways that to give men a place where other men will hold space for one another. I call it, what I'm working with now is we call it the King's Club and King's Circle and things like that. But Fads have much more simplified version of that, which is walking talks and stuff like that. A walking talk is where you can go and you might not need to talk, but you can listen. And by listening, you can understand that other guys are going through shit as well. And if you can get that through your thick skull, which when I say that, that's me. You get that through your thick skull and you go, one, I'm not that special, because that's something. Let's break that down straight away. None of us are that fucking special. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to care, other than you're struggling. What do you need? I just need you to hold space. I just need you to be here. I just need you to tell me that you've got this. And if you need something else, I might know someone else that we can signpost you really quickly. That's what a masculine man actually looks like. It's no, we don't talk about that and man up and all that crap.
Well, you must know that yourself, that it's changing now. I mean, that absolutely is changing.
Thank God it's changing. Because I think about myself and I think about that situation, and then I think about all the men that I have now had one-to-ones with, that men that have reached out in my inbox and stuff like that, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men that I have spoke to in various methods, and that is the common thing. Who have you spoke to about this up till now? No one. I don't know how to. Right, let's talk about that first of all, because you can't carry that. Look at you. If at the face to face, the guy is usually drop shoulders, beaten down. He's wearing it all across his face. He's got a skin rash. He's red cheeks. His blood pressure's up sky high. He's telling me he's drinking. He's telling me he's getting high all weekend. He's telling me he's close to being out the house. I mean, what's the line? What's the line? And that's what I'm looking to. One, hold the mirror up for him. Say, well, where's the line? He's it's a little bit of extreme ownership and a lot of accountability in there. But for him to know that there's something to talk to. Because all the other stuff will come after that. What I'm saying, because there's a danger that maybe people go, whoa, extreme ownership and accountability. Whoa, well, there is going to be some of that, because, and you know this yourself. It's easy to blame the world and never look at yourself. Look at the work you've had to do. If you've shared this with me, look at the work, the ownership you have to do, financial commitment you've had to make, showing up when you feel that you can't show up, no giving up when everything's telling you just to give up. All of that's ownership. All of that's going, no, I have to keep going. But at the same time, who do I need around me? What friends or what family members or what external parties,
strangers sometimes.
Strangers.
That's that.
What is it I need?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I'm going to need to take this out with my circle.
Mm-hmm.
Or a better way of reframing that is I need to expand my circle. Rather than just go, I'm stuck, I've got no one to talk to. No, stop. That's bullshit.
Yep.
Accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You're no that special. That's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the damage that's doing to you.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so many guys that need to see that and they need to see it and need to believe it. But big problem is that internal dialogue. We touched on that. My internal dialogue at an early point in this journey was rubbish. No, I'm a lot better. The internal dialogue still comes in, but I'm a lot better, a lot quicker at saying, Kevin, that's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to do right now? Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Where's your action?
And would you agree that where you are now to say 6 years ago is completely different?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, talk a lot about this. How I show up, I think, is the indication. So if I was to look at how I show up as a father and as a husband and as a son and as an employee, all of these different hats, I wasn't showing up well, and it certainly wasn't sustainable. If I am absolute clear in how I show up now as a man, I know I'm enough. I know I'm enough, which is really important because a lot of guys are going to bed at night at the moment, and I know this because they're telling me.
Yeah.
They're going to bed at night and they're saying, I don't think I'm enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't think I'm of service in this life. I don't think my partner needs me anymore. I don't think my kids want to see me. I don't think anyone cares about me. So I'm going to lose my job. I'm in debt. So maybe it's time to check out.
And they're all thoughts that men who have done that will have had.
So that transformation, I'm now more authentic. That I think we touched on it. Is stopping caring what anyone thinks. You're on your own mission.
Mm-hmm.
I used to tell everyone I'm the goals guy. I've got goals. I'm the goal. I've totally evolved that in the last 6 months. I've changed that theory. It's good to have goals, but you need to be the number one goal.
Mm-hmm.
The evolution of the man that you're trying to become. Would the old you be proud today? Would that old you that was going through shit, would the old you that when this whole shit started with you, would he be proud of who you are today? I'll bet he would be.
That's a really good way of looking at it.
And that's your indicator. That's your compass.
Mm-hmm.
And the old you's pointing the way. He's got the compass that shows you're still going that direction.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder. And I think when I have days where I'm sort of a little bit out of sync, I always kind of chat with my wife about that now. And if I'm having a rough one and she sees that, because we're really open and honest with each other about that. We're much better now reading the other one and then saying, hey, back in the room.
Mm-hmm. Snap out it.
Absolutely. And then sometimes that little, hey, it's not as bad as you think. Because me, I'm just because, Mr. Men's Coach, he's been through a lot and all that bullshit. I'm still human. Mm-hmm. I still have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thoughts that I'm consciously aware of, and thousands more that I'm unconsciously, I'm not aware of. I still have moments where I'm like, everything's shit.
Fuck this.
Everything's shit. If you fall out with somebody you care about, everything's shit. Everything's not shit. Mm-hmm. That's a situation you need to fix, and everything will be great again. Mm-hmm. So shut up. And it's little things like that we're able to use a lot of humour in my life. I was actually thinking a couple of days ago, really rough stuff going on at work. It was a tough one. There's a lot of things happening. Came home carrying it. My wife can see that. She knows I'm going to have a restless night. All human stuff in it.
Yeah.
And she can see that I'm going to have a really restless night. And she's like, "Get out of your head." She's become super tuned into my sort of coaching methods.
So did she ask you to speak about it?
She just went like that. Well, we had spoken about it. We speak at dinner. We've got a kind of thing in our house, and this sounds cheesy, but it works really well. Phone devices away at dinner time.
That's not cheesy. That's genius. That's what it should be.
Me and my wife and my daughter. My daughter's, now she's a teenager. We sit at dinner. It's the one period where our phones are away, and we talk. And we were talking about this really bad day, and it was a very, very testing. It was, putting it mildly, a lot of pressure. Because somebody's been hurt at my work,
Right.
and I'm health and safety, so it's in my interest no one gets hurt. So I'm carrying that as and she was like, "Process it. Have you did everything you can today? Yep. Is there anything else you can do now? No. Process it." And I'm like, "Yeah." Was sleep still restless? A little bit. Was it as bad as what I probably would have if I carried that to bed? Absolutely not. What's the message in that? Nothing's ever as bad as you seem, and there's always something that you can do. What we tend to do is men in particular, because women are gifted with the ability to talk better to one another. Not all women, because I know you've got a lot of women that listen and don't see that as a male-driven sweeping comment. Women generally talk better.
I think everyone would agree with that.
But men, like in that situation, that kind of low-level situation that I've given you, what I'm trying to get across there is what we catastrophise in our head is nothing can be done. Something can always be done. You're living proof of that. You've been doing things to help your situation for a long time now. I was the same for a long period of time there. And a lot of the men out there that I'm speaking to haven't quite woke up to that. They're like, everything's crap. My situation is, I can't turn it around. And I'm like, right, well, what's crap? Well, I fell out with my boss at work. So now everything's went to hell. Right, so when did you fall out? How many times did you fall out? Well, I fell out with him. It's actually every time we have a conversation about this subject. So apart from that, how do you get on? Well, all right, but he's really... Well, let's start. Everything's no crap, is it? No, I don't suppose so. What else is crap? Well, the kids aren't speaking to me, and I don't know what's going on with them and all that. All right, is that all the time? Well, they talk sometimes with, right, okay, what effort are you making in there? What have you tried? Well, they should be, well, stop. So what can you do? So it's breaking each thing down, and I guess that is...
Then it's all down to everything you've just said is talking. So they're talking to you.
Communication.
Yes, communication. They're talking to you. But what I wanted to ask you was, so you are lucky in the sense that you've got a wife who you can
absolutely.
read each other really well.
Absolutely. Which comes back to your original point and about why men need men. Because not
well, that was going to say, what happens when men don't have that? And that's where
we're talking about fads, and we're talking about things like Andy's Man's Club and Release, Ayrshire, and Sam H and all the other ones. And I know you guys are really good with links and stuff. But men need to, if they're listening to this, if they're going through issues with no seeing their kids, or they've got dependency issues or addiction issues, you have to reach out. One of the biggest misconceptions that a guy will have is no one understands. Wow. I'm here to tell you, as living proof, you could not be any further from the truth.
Yep.
There is lots of people across the decades that have lived your experience. They know how to get through this. They know the advice to give you, and they are ready and available to bring your problems down.
Regardless of what you think you're going through.
Yes.
You're never and not the only one.
You're never alone. And they talk about a problem shared as a problem halved. I always kind of use me being my mountains running type analogy. Your problem in your head feels like Mount Everest. And every time you speak with someone who's been through a similar problem, that mountain becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's a molehill. And you go, wow, what happened to that problem? Well, guess what? You talked about it.
Yep.
You go, sound expert advice, and you found what we talked about earlier, steps that can be taken to move you forward. Because every single step is a step to resolving this issue, this problem. And there's so many things. I mean, I've signposted hundreds of men to gambling resources, addiction help, on a number of addictions, legal advice, all sorts of different things that. And then the guy come back and going, do you know, I'm so glad you told me about that, because now I'm going to be doing this, blah, 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 blah. And I just smile and I go, imagine that.
Yep.
Imagine that. Because
we spoke about it. You opened up.
Yeah,
Yep. Just when you touched on Andy's Man Club there, so I wanted to disclose something that happened to me this week. So today, time of filming is Wednesday. So this was Monday night, Monday past. So I went to Andy's Man Club in Ayr, which is at Wellington Street, I think it is, just next to Majestic Wine. First time going, and I was told about it 4 years ago. Told about going 4 years ago, and I, to myself, said, I don't need that shit. I've got mates, I've got family. I don't need to go and see a group sit in a room full of strangers. I don't need it. And I went on Monday night for the first time, and I can say it was amazing. It was eye-opening, inspiring, amazing, interesting, and I'll be back. I'll be there every week, you know, unless work gets in the way, but I'll be there every week. It's on a Monday night, 7 o'clock, and they've got them all over the country. I believe you know the guy that works in Kilmarnock. Yeah,
I know the guy that runs the Kilmarnock one.
So that'll be Monday night, 7 o'clock as well.
Monday, all across the UK, Mondays at 7. Fantastic reputation, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, so you made the decision to go, so where was your mindset before you went in, as you arrived and going in the door and stuff?
I don't know what I thought, because once I went, I thought, right, that was kind of what I'd hoped. You know, it lived up to expectation. But I don't know what I thought when I was going in. I didn't know what to expect. You know, I thought, what's it going to be? Is it going to be like 4 of us and we're sitting in a room and it's no one I can connect with and no one I want to speak openly with? You know, I didn't know. But when I did go, and there was, I won't go into any details around the meeting, but there's 20 odd guys in a room.
Yep.
No one knows each other. I'm sitting there, don't know anyone, and we just spoke.
Yep.
That was it. We just spoke, and I found myself sitting. I think I sat for about an hour and a half just listening, and then I ended up speaking.
Yep.
You know, and I thought, this is the weirdest feeling.
Yep.
Because, like I said, you know, I've got lots of good friends I've had since I was a child.
Yep.
Still in my life, still speak to them every day, and it was a different kind of sensation.
Yep.
Speaking to someone that you don't know, it was really, really weird.
And that's you getting in. I shared with you before we came on that again. I think we almost touched on it fully. That's you getting in touch with your ancestors and everything, because right back to the beginning of time, men used to sit in circle in tribes.
Yep.
The elders would sit with the young. Everyone would play a role in resolving conflict, curiosity, relationships, any problems. The men would sit in circle, and they didn't all know each other well, but when in circle, men came away from that circle feeling that, one, they'd been listened to, and that they were able to resolve. So again, feeds into that stuff about problems. So it's been happening.
You mean it's gone back millennia?
Way back in time, and it's worked really well. And what's happening now is we're now coming back to that all over again, which I smile, because I go, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I do a version of it, a King's Circle. It's an online call. I paused it because I was preparing for a huge event in August. And it was just simply bandwidth to fulfill it. But, you know, we've got, you know, half a dozen boys join that call. Don't need to come with an agenda. Don't need to come with anything they need to resolve. But we just sit. It's almost like an online circle where we've got something I'll bring to the table to discuss an issue, a subject matter, and we get viewpoints, and we do a little bit of grounding, a little bit of breath work, which just, I sometimes wonder if I'm sending them to sleep because it's in the evening, and we do a little bit of grounding, a little bit of breath work, we do a little share, and I always go, at the end we just get a couple of deep breaths just to bring it to an end. How do you feel? And they're all like, that's better.
Aye.
And you just sense it.
Yeah.
Like guys have just unburdened a little bit, and so that's what Andy's club is in another different way, and a lot of other fantastic men's work groups and organisations are doing at the moment. They're realising that this is the way to help men, and allow a place that men can go, this is for me.
Yeah.
This is for me, and I can use this.
I don't know how long Andy's man's been going in there anyway, but I know that I was told about it 4 years ago and I chose not to go. And like I say, this week I went, and I can't recommend it enough. If you're listening to this and you think, should I go, should I not? Is my problems the same as everyone else, or would anyone be interested? It's all men. There was all ages. It was really interesting to see. And
the best thing I could say to top that up is, the biggest thing in a man's head at that situation is everyone's going to think of me blank. Yep. And the reality is, all the guys are too busy thinking about their own shit to really be thinking anything about anybody else. Everyone's judging anyone. Everyone's stuck in their own head.
Yeah.
Everyone you see in the street that you think's looking at you and what you're wearing and what you look like, they're too busy thinking that you're thinking that of them. So the best advice I give I give it that to any men or women is, no one gives a shit.
Yep, I love that. And you said it earlier. I just love that as well, because I'm lucky. I've always been of that mindset. I could not give a fuck what anyone thinks, and I think that's the best. That's the best way to go about your life. You've obviously got your loved ones and stuff close, but when it's strangers and you're worrying about that, who cares?
No,
who cares?
They're not coming home with you for dinner, so they don't matter.
Exactly. So what can you tell us about what you're doing now? Obviously, we've touched on fads and it's how it's developed into what it's in now, and what a fantastic group it is. But what about you personally? So you say you stepped back from being an admin to let it, you felt it was becoming too much maybe about you. So what do you think that's what made you do that, and then where are you now? Yeah,
there was a couple of things at play there. Because we are a community, a Facebook community, fads, and because I was the main focal point, I was getting there was two things to that. One was to give the group its own identity, that Kevin would drift in and become a member, a fad, which is all I ever wanted. When I started kind of running and all that kind of thing, that was all I ever wanted. It became something bigger and I was okay with that. But one, to give the group its identity, and two, as I say, one of the kind of final straws was the lad messaging me in the morning, and he's on a bridge, and I never got there in time, and he survived. He's thriving. He's living a good life. But I carried that it's no correct that a guy somebody like me should have to have that on him.
Yeah.
So I worked on producing this signpost list and stuff like that, so that whenever we were contacted and you with the same, men will come to you and they'll be on the brink facing the same issues you are. It's important to have the right list of services ready. So I did all that, and then I bowed back into the shadows, if you like. But my mission doesn't stop there. I was determined. I'm on a path, that I want to do bigger things and more diverse things. So I started Mind Masters, which is, I'm an NLP coach, hypnotherapy. I do a lot of different things as all part of my own self-development journey. And I wanted to do something with that, and I knew I could do something really good with that. So I've been doing one-to-one coaching and seminars, keynote speeches, different things like that. And in the beginning, I was working with men and women, and I love working with women as well. I've helped loads of women. But what I realised was there's a lot of people out there doing that, and in Ayrshire in particular, there was no one really doing what I do for men specifically.
Right.
And I felt like there was enough out there to continue to help the women, and I needed to really focus everything. So my history way back decades ago in terms of working in social work and working with young people and things, then my work with fads, it felt like it was the next step. What could I do with men in particular? And that's been where I am up till now. I have, I've got the King's Club, which is, kind of men's programs. I'm really buzzing the fact I've got an event coming up in January.
Tell us about that and tell us where you can find information on the King's Club. So we'll put that on the screen for the podcast. But where would people go to find it?
So Mindmasters Scotland is Mindmasters Scotland on Instagram and Mindmasters on Facebook. Predominantly that's where the two platforms I'm sharing content on.
Right.
And in the bio and stuff like that, there's details on the event. So the event in particular is coming up in January. It's a day retreat for men to come on and basically do everything that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Let some shit go.
Yep.
Let us hold space. Let's get into a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do some breath work, emotional breath work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let it out. Let's roar. Let's shout at each other a little bit. It's all around the male archetypes. So, I've been doing a lot of studying on this in terms of, and this is at the foundations of that, and that's around the magician, the warrior, the king, and the lover. The four main male archetypes. I just seen it appear up on the screen. That's what I'm talking about.
Mindmasters, that's on Facebook.
That's on Facebook there. So yeah, that's the King's Club day retreat is in January. But as you're seeing up there, I go to I've been asked to a lot of corporate events to go there and just help people unlock the stuff that's holding them back. See the stuff we were just touching on there around the language we're using up there. Mm-hmm. There's loads of little hacks and little tips that I can help people with and get people to see, am I doing that with my mind? Am I actually holding myself back in this way?
Mm-hmm.
That seems easy. Yes, it is. and if you can get people thinking that, because what I talk about a lot is, as a guy or a woman, if I can put myself in a really bad mood because of something that happens, then how easy it is for me to get myself in a really good mood.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can master that, then doesn't that mean that I'll be in a really bad mood for a much shorter period of time?
Right.
And people say, it can't be that easy. I says, what you've just said is exactly why you're still in a bad mood. Because it is that easy.
Yeah.
But you tell yourself lies.
Mm-hmm.
You tell yourself lies to keep yourself safe.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the types of things that I'm trying to get men to really unlock.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to stay stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
There's see the other side of that big wall you've put around about you.
Mm-hmm.
There's people waiting with
And
smiles in their face.
They believe they're right.
Yes.
Don't they, when they say that, they believe.
Until I get them to reach up on the wall, have a peek over and go, whoa. And that's what we're doing with people in coaching. When I'm working with a guy, the King's Club stuff speaks for itself. That'll be powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring guys in there. They're going to be lying on the deck. They're going to be doing stuff through their breathing that's going to blow their mind.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be having emotional releases. They're going to be thinking about people they love and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
I've already invited you. You know the score.
Yep.
So it's going to be powerful, man. There's going to be a lot of tears. But the other side of the tears is there's going to be real insight. There's going to be growth. There's going to be all that good stuff. And a lot of the coaching is around that stuff I talked about earlier. It's around ownership. Because nothing's going to get done in the world. Nothing's going to get done in your world if all you're doing is blaming the world. Yeah?
Yep.
So
That's a great way of putting it.
Nothing's going to change for me if I just blame everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I
have to make the
need
change.
to own it.
Yep.
Even, it's like the classic stuff that people talk about, apologising even if you're in the wrong. Well, no, that's not what we're looking for. Apologise if you know that you had a part to play in what went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And a lot of men aren't doing that. Still I'm surrounded by guys at work and family that's just, this is everybody else's fault.
Blame everyone else, yep.
Well,
Take ownership.
what does that bring you? Well, all it does is bring me resentment, anger, and all those other things in between. Well, see if you were to say, well, what part did I play in this? What can I do about this? How would that make you feel? Well, it would help me. And then we go from there. That's the sort of platform of it. So Mind Masters, people predominantly, when a guy comes to me, he comes to me for 4 weeks.
Right.
He'll come and see me every week. And I'm no the average coach. Let's be clear about that straight away.
How long is it a session? Like a week?
You'll be an hour with me.
An hour, right.
But I might tell you week 2, meet me at this location, and you might find, and I don't give a shit what kind of weather it is, you might find yourself at the top of a hill with me, roaring at the top of your voice, releasing some of that inner stuff. It's out the box because, do you know what? In the box isn't working. Isn't working, and it's clearly know what men want. Men need to front up, so we'll front up. And I'll call it out, and we will do the work. And at the other side of 4 weeks, I won't make all your problems go away because you probably still hold on to some of those problems, but I will absolutely make you feel a bit better, and you will absolutely have an insight into where you are not taking ownership. You know, I can't take away the dodgy friends that you've got in your life. I can't take away the dodgy partner that you're refusing. Even though you know it's dead, you're not letting go.
Yep.
I can't make you invest in your kids when quite clearly they're shouting for their dad, but I will show you where you are not doing the work. And then it's your decision what you do with that.
That sounds awesome. So it does.
And no every guy's up for that. And that's why a good thing about it being it's like a sideline for me. The good thing about that is I don't need to force myself. There's a lot of coaches out there, that's their business. And they need you in the door, and they'll tell you all sorts of bullshit, and they'll back down on their values because I don't need that.
You're just doing it because you want to do it.
If you don't come, you don't come. But if you do, you come your own free will, and you need to be willing to face your demons. And if you're willing to do that, wow, you could be like me. I mean, no, running and doing crazy, but you could be, as I said to you earlier, you could be showing up as a better dad, as a better man. You could be going to bed at night going, I'm enough. I've got a lot to do. You know,
the world needs me.
The world needs me, man. And it's this whole thing's time. It's time limited. We're on this earth for a period of time.
Yep, well, here
and
once,
we're watching. You know, I've got I don't want to give too much away because it's going to show up in the King's Club, but you know, I've got some powerful exercises that will make men realise just how much little time they've got left. See, when you see that, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, right, let's get these trainers on, man. Like, we've got work to do. I've got people I need to invest in, people that need to hear that I love you. I really care about you.
I don't know why this came into my head there, but there's something I spoke about with pals before, and it's when you look at how many seconds are in a year. So if you break down how many seconds are in a year, and you think how many seconds are in 10 years, and you can actually work out how many seconds have I actually got left, realistically. And when you look at it in seconds, it's a strange way of looking at it, but it does make you think, fucking hell, we don't have long. You know, we're not on this earth for long, so let's not screw it up.
Yeah, so why are we
manifesting and
living on argued with somebody I cared about, and we've not spoken a week?
Aye.
Why?
Gone.
What needs to be done? Well, they've not reached out to me. Come on, man. What needs to be done?
Aye.
What do you need to do? I need to phone them, but I don't. Well, sorry, what? I need to phone them. Phone them now.
Yep.
What? Phone them now. But you're phone them now. What are you worried about? That I hear you being a man, being a masculine man that actually values the relationships in his life. And I've had guys phone their wives and say, I'm really crying
when you're sitting
with me in a coaching setting, and I'm just, that's his space. I'm in that space. He entered that space with me, so he knows that we might go there. And he's saying, I have fucked up. I am so sorry. I am sorry for everything. I want to make this right. I'm going to make this right. That's a king. That's
as soon as they come off the phone, they'll just be like, I'm so glad I've done that.
And I'm like, what did that feel like? And there's what needs to happen at that point. We hold space. I hold space for him. He's a king. This is him. That's a sovereign man in front of me, and I am honoured to be in that moment with him, and it's beautiful, man. It's fucking beautiful.
Amazing. So let's touch on dads. So you're obviously a dad and a granddad.
I'm now a papa.
A papa.
Which is...
Go and smoke up your ass, but you definitely don't look old enough to be a papa.
I appreciate that, brother, because when we talk about the voices in my head, that's one of them. I am now a papa of a 2-year-old grandson.
Amazing.
And a dad, a 25-year-old boy and a teenage girl.
Yeah. And what's it like being a dad?
Oh, man. I told you I get emotional, but it's more precious to me now than I probably ever realised. And that's because I'm aware of my own mortality right now. Like I've always tried to be a good dad. Made a lot of mistakes along the way.
As every dad does.
Yeah. But the grandson coming, people said it's a different kind of love. And I was like, yeah, sure. What I'll tell you what's changed. So my love for the little one is crazy, right? But the love for watching my son become a dad is overwhelming.
Right.
That's... And my son becoming a dad has brought me and my son closer together. My son has shared with me that he now understands the difficulties I faced as an absent father, trying to have time with him. What that felt like to hand him back and stuff like that. I don't need to tell you what that stuff feels like. So watching my son grow into a dad, like when he comes to my house with a little one and stuff, I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him, and I try and tell him as much as possible, like how proud I am, how good a job he's doing. I watch the pain he goes through, taking the little one back and stuff like that, and so being a dad is incredible. Being an older dad now to a younger girl is an interesting challenge, which is why I'm always reminded, stay fit, Kevin, stay fit, because if any boyfriends want to meet this dad, he needs to still have it together. So it's beautiful, man. I am honoured to be a dad. It is the best job I've ever had in my life. It's one I never want to end. And it's one I'm learning every single day. It's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. No one masters parenting, do they? You never learn everything. There's always something to learn.
No.
And then being a granddad, I can imagine, has been emotional for you. That would be better, if anything. Aye,
it's definitely better. It's incredible.
From granddads I've spoke to, say it is better because you just get the fun.
Aye.
You just get the fun, hand them back, there you go. Yeah. They've not slept all day, there you go.
Yeah, like you get to give them all the little treats and all the he's playing up to his dad and stuff, and I'm like, he's alright. And my wife and my son will say, oh, he's Papa Daft, and I went, I think I know why, because
he get away with murder, I can guess.
He gets away with murder, and he knows I adore him. And when he comes in, I act like a kid. I chase him about the house. I'm rough with him. I'm giving him all that positive masculinity that he can handle. On top of the what he gets from his dad. Another friend of mine lost his father. I'm going to try and remember. It was say 2 to 3 years ago. I'm going to guess. I think 2. And he was a fantastic papa. This is where I take a lot of inspiration about dads I don't want to be like and dads I do want to be like, and papa now also.
Yeah.
And Henry was a fantastic papa, and I remember always seeing him around his grandkids, my friends' kids, and he was he was everything to them,
Mhm.
everything. And I remember when the little one was born, and I said to my wife, I would love to be as good a papa as he was, as Henry was. Excuse me. And she says, I'm sure you're going to be. And I am so far, I'm just so chuffed that he adores me and I adore him.
Yeah.
So that tells me I'm off to a good start. I got myself a camper van last year, just at the end of last year there, and I can't wait to start taking him away on papa adventures. You know, in this van,
Fishing, get the fire going.
No
Yeah.
rules.
Yep.
And his dad says, "What did you do?" Nothing. Nothing.
What happens when we go away stays with us, you know?
And the wee man being in this bond with his papa
yeah.
that like we just do cool shit, you
Brilliant.
know. And so it's beautiful, man.
Yeah. We'll realise pretty soon he's getting an inspiring granddad, papa. So yeah, well, I'm sure your boy will know that as well. So yeah, just amazing, mate, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks so much for your words, because they mean a lot. So they do. I just want to ask you while I've got you here as well. So we put up on the podcast and try and mention, you know, charities, helplines, whatever. So I mentioned Andy's Man's Club already. You touched on Release, the charity. So it's an Ayrshire-based charity.
Release is an Ayrshire-based charity for guys to contact. I think it's a 24-hour service.
Yep.
I've raised a lot of money for Release. I've promoted Release in a lot of things. Simply because they tick the box. They tick a box. Really, when I say tick a box, that sounded quite and like no really emotionally felt. They tick a box in the sense of they do exactly what we need them to do as a service. So Release have been massive for me. Mind Over Matters, another one down in Airway. Caitlin runs that service. She's doing really good things. Sticks and Bows.
Sticks and Bows, no heard of that
Sticks and Bows is another one. This is where you get my retention at full test. Sticks and Bows is another one. It's definitely one to look up on social media. They meet up at pool halls. They shoot some pool. They chat.
Cool.
They get some people in and stuff like that. Again, very informal, but very community driven. They go, they do things and stuff like that. Again, there's so much out there, and then you've got the bigger ones, obviously Sam H and different things like that. There's a lot out there, and it could, that can in itself can be quite overwhelming.
Where do you start?
Do you go a face-to-face route, where there's a lot of fronting up to stuff, like, which is difficult for a lot of men? Do you go an online sort of faceless option? Or do you go more of a Fit Ayrshire Dad, Sticks and Bows type route where you don't need to directly face your problem, you can indirectly start to make changes in your life that can then start to affect the things that are wrong. So you've got very different ways, and I think that's important for people that have listened to this and they're going, well, and then you've got maybe people like me, I want a coach, I want a one-to-one, I want a guy who is in my corner, holding me accountable, really calling me out. There's very different ways to go, but I think the most important thing is there is things to go. There's ways to go.
There is, yeah.
Lots of ways.
Aye, and that's just that. There's lots of ways, and there'll be guys out there that couldn't even dream of speaking to someone, going meeting someone in person, speaking out in a room full of guys. You know, it'd be the worst nightmare. But it doesn't have to be that way. You know, you can message. Just message.
Yep.
You know, I've had guys messaging Voice for Dads, been talking back and forth through messages. No idea what they look like, what they sound like, but just there to talk, and that could be a starting point. For men that are struggling, you know, and for what we're doing, dads in particular that are struggling, around not seeing their kids or not having a good relationship with their kids. Another thing that I didn't really see when I started this, you know, I was focused on the dad's side of it, but teenagers, you know, there is teenagers that have watched this, you know, that aren't having a good relationship with their dad, or they're maybe growing up and realising that there's more to why their dad's has been absent, you know, that kind of thing. So that was something I never thought about.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never thought about it, because obviously teenagers are on social media. Obviously teenagers are going to see this. They're more fluent and better with computers than we are. So that was something that kind of took me by surprise, knowing that there's teenagers that are watching this
Yeah.
that have missed out on time with their dads. So,
Yep.
but yeah, as you say, there's loads of places to turn for support. If you're listening to this, you're already keen enough to make change and reach out and start somewhere. You know, if you've taken the time to listen to us talking right now,
Yep.
you're already doing something.
That feeds into the point we talked about earlier. That is a step in itself. So if you are listening to podcasts that just numb your brain, it's just talking about absolute nonsense that has got no value to you, then that's not a step. If you're taking time to listen to a podcast that's around a subject that you are having some issues with, you've got some confusion or curiosity with, that's a step. And it's really, really important what you've just said. In fact, it's hugely important. This is your first step.
That's it.
Listening to this conversation is actually what leads you to what's my next step. And before you know it, you could have taken half a dozen steps. You could be connected to someone, you could be speaking, you could be, starting to make changes and starting to go, I'm feeling like I am getting on top of this. And it all starts from potentially just listening to this.
Yep. 100%. Couldn't have put it better myself. And even going back, and I know I said this earlier, but so not everyone's in a position where they can start Fit Ayrshire Dads, or they can start a podcast like Voice for Dads, but it just shows that I've started this podcast, done it for a few weeks, we've got to the stage we're at, but I still took the step to go to Andy's Man Club.
Yep.
And
the work's never
regardless
done.
of this, exactly,
the work's never done.
So I'm not sitting here going, I'm doing all I can do. I'm not doing all I can do. There's more I can do.
Yes.
Let's focus on me and make sure that I'm doing everything I can to look after my own mental health.
Yep.
Because that means that if you're a dad, it's being the best version of yourself.
I'm going to just drop this in because I think it's important. I never touched on it earlier. I created a thing on fads called the trifecta. And this is a great way of just adding that in there, but you saying, I'm doing this, which is part of the work, but I wasn't doing some other parts, and I went and took action there. So if you picture, for any guy listening to this, anybody listening to this, picture your life as a triangle. Each three corner represents a pillar of your life. This is what I created on fads, and so many men use it as an indicator when something's going wrong.
Right.
So if one corner represents career and education, one corner represents health and fitness, and one corner represents family and relationships. So what we're striving for is balance. What we're all striving for in life is, we're what I've learned about humans, this is all open for debate. Some people say he's talking shit. That's okay. I don't care. What we're striving for is a bit of happiness and a bit of balance. But when we are a little bit out of sync, if we draw that triangle on a bit of paper and we look at it, you can quite quickly see I'm out of sync because of one of those corners isn't doing so well. So you can't get balance in that situation. What you have to do is step into that corner and try to resolve it as best you can.
Right.
But also it represents sometimes when you're neglecting one of your corners. So if you notice that everyone's a little bit out of sync and you've got issues going on in relationships, you've got that going on at the moment for yourself.
Yep.
But what you notice is you're neglecting your health, right? You're neglecting your health and your fitness significantly. You're not neglecting your career and education because you're dealing with your job, but also career and education is also development, it's growth, it's this, the podcast. But you do see that I could be doing more with my health. You talked to me earlier, you've not been going to the gym, and you've not as active as you like to be. I'll bet you every penny I've got, if you start to invest a little bit more time into that corner of your life, you'll see the rewards coming around the triangle glow like your screen is. It'll start to move round about. Balance is always difficult to achieve, but you'll start to notice things are starting to benefit. So you start to get the endorphins flowing, you're starting to give yourself a bit of time, stuff for you, get a workout, get a sweat going, all that, hit your steps and stuff. You'll start to know that you've now got better energy to focus on that issue around relationships. You've still got a wee bit more focus, a bit more clarity. You can't do that as well as you do if you neglect one corner. The thing falls down. So what I try to get guys, and what I always for the years I was the top kiddie, if you like, in the fads, I was always trying to say, if they say everything's slipping at work, are you moving? Are you doing? Are you staying active? Nah, that's because of work. That's stopped. Why did that stop? Why was that a reason? Well, work. I went, but that's not it.
Yeah.
Why have you stopped that? Because now you're new. That's two. So how's things at home? Because of that. Because work's not so good. You're no going to the gym. You're no walking. Well, I'm getting snappy with
Next
everybody
thing,
at
all
home.
3 corners are
I
affected.
says, let's stop. You know the answer. You know what comes next on you. And they're like, and it's this deflation that I've called it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great little model. It's really, really simple. The fads trifecta can help men or women. That if you just have a little check, how do I feel right now? What's causing that? Right. Let's look at what can I do. Back to what steps can I take, and then just notice how that triangle starts to balance a little bit. And I think it'll help loads of folk.
Brilliant. I love it. What came to mind, you said about Triangle, the National Treasure too, Nicolas Cage, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
They've got the balancing triangle. I think Harry Potter's a chessboard, but they've got the triangle and they all need to stand on the corner, and if any of them move, but they have to all go in together and make sure that all the corners are full.
Well, I do triangles a lot, and I was told, someone said to me, it was like a kind of psychotherapist or something like that, was on in a day when I was doing a seminar.
Right.
And I think I showed like 2 triangles with different things. And she said to me, what's with the triangles? I think there's something that we should be looking at. I went, well, we're not looking at it today. I was like, triangles is my thing. I don't know what to tell you. It can be sharp, but at the centre there's balance. So it can be sharp and it's got those corners and it's got those spikes, but right in the middle there is that sweet spot.
Yep.
And although you maybe venture across to a particular corner, because I noticed, like when I was preparing for my race, and back earlier in the year, I had to step across into that fitness one because it needed more. I was, training 6 days a week. It was relentless. I needed,
but then you're watching the other corners,
keeping an eye, making sure it doesn't slip.
Yep.
Is my family still getting the right time? I'm
next thing you're sleeping in for work,
Yep. Don't neglect your work because your boss will be on your case, and it's just checking it. Then the race is over, loads of extra time there, and then you come back across. Now I'm not training because I'm injured. Be mindful. Your health might start. You might start to put weight on. You might start to be as.
So again, you're watching it as a constant balance. Yeah, I love that. Love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm glad I managed to remember that because that's a good one. It helps a lot of folk.
No, it is. So yeah, I just can't thank you enough for coming on. Honestly,
appreciate that, man.
Our podcast words were just exactly as I hoped it'd be. Everything we spoke about, everything we touched on, was just brilliant, and I really hope that guys have taken something from it. What I would say is the number one rule, if you like, to take from it is you need to speak.
Yeah.
You need to talk.
Yep.
Don't ball it up. Realise that there's people out here that are willing to speak and help. That would be my
100%, man. I totally agree.
So yeah, so I think we'll round it up on that. If there's anything else you want to
thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to come on and talk on this. This is a fantastic thing you're doing, and I'm glad you've asked me on to know that I'm supporting you while you're supporting this mission for dads and men. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And last week's episode I touched on, I was going to finish each episode with a poem, so I'll just finish on that. I wonder what you're doing and how you're living life. What new things did you learn today, and how did you sleep last night? Did you feel raindrops on your face or sunshine in your eye? Of all the questions left unknown, the biggest one is why. Why can't we be together? Why can't I watch you grow? Why can't I guide you through this world? This I just don't know. But I promise we'll be together, no matter how long it seems. Just know you're always in my heart and always in my dreams. Kev, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Speak soon.